Sarah always believed that kindness, patience, and honesty were the keys to a good life. She thought that if she just held on, just worked a little harder, things would eventually turn out right. But years of clinging to that hope had left her with nothing but calloused hands and a hollow heart. Her paycheck was a cruel joke, barely enough to keep a roof over her head. The memory of her mother passing away alone while she was stuck working a grueling night shift was a wound that never healed. And all those friends who swore they'd always be there, they were gone, fading like ghosts into the cold, stale air of her tiny one-room apartment. Now, something else filled her nights. A new kind of ghost. It started as a faint tapping from the wall next to her bed, easy to dismiss as old pipes or a neighbor. But then came the whisper. Sarah? It was so soft, so eerily familiar, like hearing her own voice carried on the wind from a great distance. The first time, she dismissed it as a dream. The second time, she pulled the blanket up to her chin, her heart pounding against her ribs. The third time, her own whisper escaped into the darkness. Who's there? Only silence answered. But the voice wasn't gone. It came back night after night, a haunting companion in her solitude. Sometimes it cried desolate sobs that mirrored the ache in her own chest. Other times, it hummed a half-forgotten lullaby, a melody that felt like a memory she couldn't quite grasp. Every sound came from the same place, a thin, jagged crack in the wall, running down the faded paint like a scar. One night, the loneliness and the haunting became too much to bear. She pressed her ear against the cold, damp plaster, and she heard it clearly. The soft, desperate sobs of someone who had lost everything. It was the sound of her own grief, amplified and thrown back at her. Her hand trembled as she shone her phone's flashlight on the wall. Deep inside the crack, something glistened, a tiny, wet reflection. Then, her blood ran cold. It was an eye, swollen, bloodshot, and burning with a deep, bottomless hatred. It was staring right at her. Before she could even gasp, a pale, skeletal hand shot out from the crack. Its thin, trembling fingers brushed against her cheek, leaving a trail of icy moisture on her skin. "Why did you give up?" the voice whispered, a tremor of fury running through it. "You promised we would be happy." Sarah scrambled backward. A scream caught in her throat, but the hand lunged, its nails digging into her face. The wall itself seemed to come alive, pulsing like a monstrous, breathing organ. The crack widened, the plaster groaning as a dark void opened up, pulling her in. She tried to scream, but the darkness was a physical presence, pressing against her, silencing her. Inside the wall, she wasn't alone. She was surrounded by hundreds of faces, all of them her own. Each one was a portrait of a different sorrow. Faces twisted in grief, contorted with rage, frozen in despair. Some wept silently, others cackled with a chilling, hysterical laughter. They all reached for her, their whispers merging into a single, condemning chorus. We waited for you to fight." Her body felt heavy, sinking deeper into the cold, fleshy prison. As her last breath escaped her lips in a faint, misty cloud, she saw her own reflection in the cracked wall. The face looking back at her was broken, shattered, but for the first time in a long time, it was smiling at peace. When the sun rose, the apartment was still and quiet. The bed was neatly made. The shoes were placed perfectly by the door, but the wall was different. The crack was wider now, a gaping maw in the plaster. And sometimes, if you listen closely enough, you can still hear a soft, familiar whisper drifting from behind that wall. There are still dreams left unfinished. Thank you for watching. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from the shadows.